You know that feeling. You're sitting across from him, and you love him. You do. But something is off. The conversation is fine, the dinner is fine, everything is fine, and you're sitting there feeling completely alone. And your brain starts running. Why does this keep happening? Is this just what long-term relationships feel like? Do I still love him? Or have I just gotten used to him? Am I the problem? Here's the thing nobody tells you. The relationship didn't get harder because your love faded. It got harder because your safety did. And if you're sitting there wondering what changed, I want you to hear this. You are not failing at love. This is not a sign that you chose the wrong person. Every couple that has ever truly loved each other has stood exactly where you're standing. By the end of this video, you're going to understand the exact mistake most women make that makes men quietly, gradually pull away. And more importantly, exactly what to do instead. Let's get into it. Most couples believe that when a man starts to withdraw, it means he's falling out of love, that something is broken between you, that the relationship is dying. But the real truth is this. Men pull away not because they stopped caring. They pull away because the emotional climate of the relationship has made closeness feel dangerous. Think about what that means for a second. When a woman's nervous system feels safe with a partner, when she feels heard, when she feels like she can express herself without being dismissed, corrected, or shut down, she goes toward. She gets closer. She opens up more. But when a man's nervous system starts reading the relationship as a place where he's constantly being analyzed, judged, or needs to defend himself, he doesn't go toward conflict. He goes away from it. And here's what no one explains. This isn't weakness. This isn't immaturity. This is a deeply human response to feeling like your emotional space isn't safe. You see, your partner's nervous system is reading you before their mind can catch up. Long before he consciously decides to pull back, his body has already made the calculation. And what looks like stonewalling, what feels like rejection to you, is usually a man who has been so overwhelmed for so long that silence is the only protection he has left. So here's the shift. The goal was never to get him to open up more. The goal is to make the relational space safe enough that he wants to. Let's get into the specific mistake. The more you chase, the further he goes. Most couples fall into this without even realizing it. When a man starts pulling back, the instinct is to pull closer. You ask more questions. You bring up concerns more often. You try to get him to talk. You double down on connection because distance feels terrifying. And I get it. I do. Because in your nervous system, withdrawal equals danger. So your response is to pursue. But here's the deeper truth. When a man is in a withdrawn state, your pursuit doesn't feel like love. It feels like pressure. His nervous system reads your increased attempts to connect as one more thing he has to manage, one more expectation, one more way he might fail. And here's what moves through his brain in that moment. She keeps pushing. I can't make this better. I don't know what she wants from me. I'm going to make it worse if I say anything. So he goes further underground. Now look at the contrast. Disconnecting version. You're in the kitchen, and he walks in and sits on his phone. You feel the distance. So you say, "Hey, are we okay? You've been kind of weird lately. Can we just talk about what's going on?" He hears, "Another conversation I have to get right. Another thing I have to fix." Connecting version. You notice the distance. You notice your own anxiety spike. And instead of chasing, you just turn back to what you were doing. You give him the space. But you do it with a quiet internal posture of openness. Not resentment, not distance, just space. And what's moving through his brain? She's not pushing. She actually gets it. I can come back. That's the shift. You don't pursue the connection. You create the conditions where he wants to come find it. He doesn't need you to understand him. He needs you to stop trying. Most women in relationships, and I say this with so much love, become amateur psychologists about their partner. When he pulls back, your brain immediately goes into detective mode. What does this mean? What's going on with him? What did I do wrong? What should I do? You start analyzing his behavior, his tone, his schedule, his eye contact. And here's what no one talks about. This analysis feels like care to you. It feels like you're being attentive, involved, invested. But to him, it feels like being monitored. His nervous system is reading, if I open up, she'll analyze that too. She'll have questions. It becomes a whole thing. So I'll just not. And here's what moves through her mind. And I want you to really feel this one. I'm just trying to understand him. Why won't he just tell me what's wrong? But here's what nobody explains. He doesn't need you to understand him in that moment. He needs you to trust that he can handle his own inner world without you having to solve it. Disconnecting version. You notice he's been short with you all week. So you sit down and say, I've noticed you've been stressed. I want to support you. What's going on? Talk to me. He hears, I need to perform wellness. I need to explain myself. This is going to be an interrogation disguised as care. Connecting version. You notice he's been short with you all week. You internally pause. You resist the urge to investigate. You give him 2 days. Then you casually say, Hey, want to watch that show tonight? No pressure, no weight. Something in him is saying, she doesn't need me to be okay. She just wants to be near me. That's the shift. And when you do that, the walls between you start to come down, without either of you having to say a word. He didn't come to you for a solution. He came to see if you'd see him. Most people in relationships confuse comfort with correction. When your partner comes to you with something difficult, a stress, a frustration, a problem at work, your instinct is to solve it, to make it better, to offer a fix. And it comes from a beautiful place. You love him. You want to help. But here's what changes everything. Men rarely share their inner world because they want it fixed. They share because they want to feel like it landed somewhere, like someone witnessed them. And when you jump to solutions, his brain registers something different than what you intended. Disconnecting version. He comes home frustrated about work and says, I'm just so tired of this project. It's going nowhere. You immediately respond, have you talked to your boss about it? Maybe you should set up a meeting. What if you... He's already gone. Not because he doesn't love you. Because your solution told him his feelings were a problem to be solved, not an experience to be shared. Connecting version. He comes home frustrated about work. You put down your phone. You look at him. You say, that sounds really exhausting, man. And you leave space. Something in him is saying, she actually heard me. She doesn't think I'm broken. And here's the deeper truth. When you give him that space to be messy and frustrated without you trying to engineer a solution, he doesn't shut down less, he shares more. because he knows the container is safe. That's when your partner stops feeling like a problem to manage and starts feeling like a person to come home to. He's not pulling away from you. He's pulling away from everything. Here's the part no one talks about. Most women don't realize how much emotional data they process unconsciously in a relationship. You are reading his energy constantly. His tone, his posture, his engagement level, whether he's present, whether he's distracted. And it's not wrong. You should be attuned to each other. That's what connection looks like. But here's what most couples never figure out. That attunement, that hyper-awareness of his emotional state, can become a form of pressure he feels but can't name. His nervous system starts reading, "She's tracking me. She notices everything. I can't have an off day without it becoming a thing." And this is where the anxious avoidance cycle plays out. You notice distance. Distance triggers your anxiety. Your anxiety makes you pursue. His pursuit triggers more overwhelm. He pulls back further. You read the pullback. Anxiety spikes again. And around it goes. Disconnecting version. He's had a long day. You can feel the energy shift when he walks in. You immediately ask, "Are you okay? Is everything all right? Did something happen at work?" He hears, "I can't even decompress without having to manage her worry." Connecting version. He walks in and something is clearly off. You notice it. You feel your own anxiety start to spike, and you pause. You let him settle. You go about what you were doing. 20 minutes later, he's on the couch, and you sit next to him. Simple. No investigation. What moves through her mind? Because she has felt this herself. I forgot what it feels like to be trusted to process without being rescued or managed. That's the shift. And it requires you to be okay with your own discomfort long enough to let him come back on his own terms. The more you need him to prove he cares, the less he can. This is where it gets really interesting, and I want you to sit with this one. Most women, especially after some distance has built up, start needing reassurance. They need to hear it. They need to see it. They need consistent proof that the relationship is still solid, that he still loves her, that she's still chosen. And again, this comes from a completely valid place. When you feel disconnected, your attachment system activates. You want to feel secure. Reassurance feels like the path back to safety. But here's the pattern nobody explains. When you come to him repeatedly needing proof of his love, your need starts to feel like a debt he can never quite pay off. And his nervous system starts reading every interaction through the lens of, what does she need from me right now? What looks like him not caring is actually his nervous system being overwhelmed by the emotional weight of being someone's primary source of emotional regulation. Disconnecting version. After a fight or a period of distance, you say, I just need to know you still love me. Can you just tell me that? Can you prove it? He hears, I'm not enough. I have to perform love to prove I'm not leaving. Connecting version. After a fight or a period of distance, you don't demand the check-in. You show up quietly. You do something kind for him without making it about the relationship. You let your actions say the things you want his words to say. And here's what moves through his brain. She doesn't need me to prove anything. She's just here. That's the shift. When you stop demanding the evidence becomes unnecessary. And that's when he can actually give it freely. He fell in love with someone who had a life. You're showing up with none. This one is hard to hear, but I need you to hear it. When couples first get together, both people have full lives, friends, hobbies, passions, a sense of self that exists outside the relationship. And that aliveness is magnetic. Your partner didn't just fall in love with you. He fell in love with someone who was fully alive. But somewhere along the way, many women make the relationship their entire world. Their happiness becomes dependent on him. Their schedule orbits him. Their emotional state rises and falls with the quality of the connection. And here's what changes everything. He can feel it, long before you say it. He feels that he has become the center of your emotional universe. And it's not romantic. It's terrifying. His nervous system is registering, if I leave, she falls apart. My mood dictates her entire day. She doesn't have a life outside of me. This is too much pressure. What looks like him not wanting closeness is actually him suffocating under the weight of being someone's only source of meaning. Disconnecting version. You're sitting together, and you feel the anxiety creep in. So you start scrolling your phone and periodically look over to see if he's still engaged. You reorganize your thoughts around what you might say when he talks. Your entire nervous system is tracking him. He feels, I'm the only thing keeping her stable. Connecting version. You have your own life. You have things that matter to you outside the relationship. When you're together, you're actually present. Not tracking, not managing, not monitoring. You're just here. And when you're apart, you're fully in your own world. What moves through his brain? She doesn't need me to survive. She chooses me to thrive. That's different. And here's the mic drop truth nobody explains. This isn't a communication hack. This is just what two emotionally mature people naturally do. When you have a self, the relationship doesn't have to carry the weight of being your whole identity. That's the shift that turns a relationship that feels like a negotiation into one that feels like a refuge. He's not pulling away from love. He's pulling away from what love has started to feel like. Here's the one most couples never figure out. Men don't pull away from the woman they love. They pull away from the version of the relationship that has become a place of performance, pressure, and emotional exhaustion. And the thing is, they usually can't articulate it. That's what makes it so confusing. He'll say he's fine, nothing's wrong, he just needs space. And you spiral, because you can feel the distance, but he won't give you a reason. Here's why. He's not being evasive, he's being honest. He doesn't consciously know why he feels pulled away. He just knows that being home doesn't feel the way it used to feel. And here's the deeper emotional truth. When safety leaves a relationship, the love doesn't disappear. It goes underground. It has to. Because his nervous system is reading the emotional climate as something to protect himself from. So he goes quiet, not because he wants to leave, but because he's trying to survive inside something that has become overwhelming. Disconnecting version. He comes home from work and sits on the couch and seems checked out. You bring it up the same night. You need to know what's wrong. You need to resolve it so you can sleep. You can't sleep with this distance hanging there. He hears, I don't get to decompress. I have to manage this conversation before I'm ready. Connecting version. He comes home and seems checked out. You notice it. You feel your body want to fix it immediately. And instead you make dinner. You watch something together. You let the evening be easy. A day or two later, you casually bring up something light. See where he's at. And here's what moves through her mind. This one hits deep. I forgot how good it feels to be chosen without being needed. That's the shift. You're not chasing the connection. You're creating the conditions where he can choose it again. So here's what I want you to walk away with today. This isn't a checklist. These aren't tips for a better relationship. These are the beginning of understanding what love actually requires. Not as sacrifice, not as suppression of yourself, but as the quiet, consistent practice of making your relationship a place where both people can breathe. When you internalize this, when you really let it sink in, you stop chasing and start creating. You stop managing his emotions and start holding your own. You stop demanding proof of love and start building the conditions where it can exist freely. And here's what nobody explains. When you do that, when you become the kind of partner who doesn't need to be managed, who has a life, who can hold space without fixing, who can be with discomfort without pursuing, something shifts. His nervous system starts reading you differently. The emotional climate changes, and he starts coming back toward you not because you pulled him, but because he wants to. This isn't about getting him to change. This is about you becoming the kind of woman who doesn't need him to be anything other than what he is. Real intimacy doesn't start when you find the right person. It starts when you decide to become one. You've got this. I'll see you in the next one.